Hello, viewers. Today is Tuesday, December 24th, 2024. I'm here to share my thoughts and opinions on the Border Gavaskar Trophy for the fourth Test match to be played at Melbourne on Boxing Day in another 24, 26 hours from now because of the time difference between US and Australia. Australia is quite far ahead in terms of time zone. So both teams go into this fourth test match with the series 1-1, and it is going to be one of the most interesting test match. Probably this is the most important test match as well for both these teams. Probably in the last 6-7 years, nothing could have been more important than this test match for either one of those two teams, because the series is tied at 1-1, and if at all Australia has a go at getting the Border Gavaskar Trophy from India, they need to win Melbourne as well as in Sydney. So they have to win. 2-2 will not be good enough for the Australia to get the Border Gavaskar Trophy, because India is currently the holder of the trophy. So 2-2 will ensure that India will keep that Border Gavaskar Trophy. So that said, there is also another interesting component in this, in the sense that the World Test Championship is also on the line for both these teams. Whoever wins the Melbourne Test is going to be in a very good position to actually make it to the finals for the World Test Championship to be held next June in England. So that said, this is going to be one of the toughest matches for both the teams. Both the teams had a good bowling unit, in the sense that they were able to bowl reasonably well, but both teams has got some issues on their batting. And from India's perspective, throughout the series, the only bowler who has really bowled very well is Bumrah. Occasionally, you have seen Mohammad Siraj bowling well in short spells, but not consistently well. And so they replaced also Ashrit Rana with with Akash Deep. And Akash Deep did reasonably well for a debutant, for a guy who is playing for the first time in Australia. He was unlucky not to get more wickets, but nevertheless, I think India's bowling needs to really step up. But that said, let's look at the Australian tentative 11. And Australia has replaced or dropped Nathan McSweeney, the debutant in the first test. They gave him only 3 tests, and they had dropped him for this fourth test. He was pretty unlucky, I would say, that he was facing Bumrah at his best, and I think for any batsman it's going to be very difficult to do that, and that too for a person who is making his debut and is playing his first few tests. It's going to be even more challenging. Also, due to the fact that Nathan McSweeney is not a regular opener, he is basically a middle order batsman who was asked to open in this series. So I felt it was pretty unfortunate and unlucky for Nathan McSweeney to miss out. Instead, they have picked up an youngster, Sam Kontas. He's a 19-year-old opening batsman, and the Australian media speaks very highly of him. I have not seen him per se, but nevertheless, it looks like he is an interesting prospect for the Australians. If you listen to the Australian media, or if you read the print reports coming in from Australia. So nevertheless, he's going to make his debut in the place of Nathan McSweeney. And then they are going to make one more change. We all know that Hazlewood is not fully fit, so they're going to bring in Boland for Hazlewood. Then they have a slight minor injury scare in Travis Head, and they're going to decide whether he is fully fit to play the test match, maybe in the next few hours. But if Travis Head is not fully fit, that's when they're going to really have a dilemma as to whether they should give a debut to Josh English to come in at the middle order. So that basically makes sure that there is no replacement for Mitchell Marsh at this point. It looks as though that Mitchell Marsh will continue to be in the 11, even though his performance is very ordinary. And so I think the Australians also have some issues to iron out in terms of whether they're going to give continuous chances to Mitchell Marsh to prove, because he didn't bat very well and he didn't really do very well as a bowler as well. But nevertheless, it looks as though that if Travis Head is fit, Australia will go with two changes, with Sam Kontas coming in for Nathan McSweeney and Boland coming in for Hazlewood. So if you look at the Australian team, I would still say that the Australian team is pretty strong in terms of bowling, but I do feel that they are very, very weak in their batting lineup. Other than Travis Head, nobody else has scored big. Yes, Smith scored 100 in the last test, but nevertheless, if Indians bowl very well, and if they bowl good line and length consistently, I think Indians can really take some early wickets and put pressure back on the Australians. Then coming to the Indian cricket team, I do feel that India needs to make some changes, even though I do not know whether they will make those changes. First of all, I feel India's bowling is weak in the sense apart from Bumrah. Bumrah is carrying most of the load. Siraj is doing reasonably well. Still, with the weakened bowling unit, I feel India's bowling has performed better than India's batsmen in this series, except for that second innings of the first test match when they won that match because of that second inning performance from Jaiswal, Rahul, and Virat Kohli. So looking at the bowling, India would like to go in with three fast bowlers and an all-rounder in Nitish Kumar Reddy and a spinner. And based on last test match's performance in terms of batting from Ravindra Jadeja, they are most likely going to stick with Ravindra Jadeja. But I do feel that they have to make one change within their fast bowling unit. I'm sure that Bumrah and Siraj and Akash Deep will play, but I have a feeling that India might be tempted to drop Nitish Kumar Rana and bring in Washington Sundar. He can do two things by doing that. You can play Washington Sundar as a true all-rounder in the sense that he can play up the order. If you really want to give some space to Shubman Gill and you want to bring him down the order at number 5, Washington Sundar will give you that option. Washington Sundar can play at number 3. He had scored runs at the higher up in the order for both the South Zone team as well as for Tamil Nadu, and he is a top order bat. He cannot open, but I think he can definitely play at number 3. Remember that this is what happened in the India versus West Indies series in the late 80s at Chepauk when Mohindra Amarnath was not in a good form, and in the second innings of the third test match between India and West Indies at Chepauk, W.V. Raman was asked to come in at number 3 and he scored 80-odd runs. And I think Washington Sundar is capable, just like W.V. Raman, to play higher up the order and play that sort of an innings. So I do believe that Indian team management can take potentially that risk. And I know Nitish Kumar Rana has done very well as a batsman, but his bowling is okay. I don't think he's done great things with his bowling. But by bringing in Washington Sundar, you got an off spinner who can attack the left-handers. You have Khawaja, Travis Head, Carey, overall left-handers, and Washington Sundar can bring the new dimension to India's bowling. And also due to the fact, remember that Jadeja did not bowl very well in the last test match at Brisbane. So if we get into a similar situation like that in Melbourne, you need somebody who can just hold one hand up. And if Jadeja is going to give 4 runs or more per over in the first innings, that's not going to really augur well for the Indian bowling. So I do think that the Indian team management, Gambhir and Rohit Sharma, should look at this very carefully and see if they can bring in Washington Sundar so that he can bowl those overs and at least keep one end tight. Even if he doesn't take too many wickets, if he can keep one end tight, like Nathan Lyon does repeatedly for Australia, I think it might be a good replacement. But the Indian team management might want to say that he has done very well, Nitish Kumar Rana. Then if that is the case, then they have to dare to take the call to see whether they want to drop the third seamer in Akash Deep. But nevertheless, I do feel that if you bring in Washington Sundar, you beef up your bowling, but also you can beef up your batting as well because he has proved and he has scored runs in Australia as well. So that said, and that is my thought process, I will bring in Washington Sundar for Nitish Kumar Rana. And if they are not willing to do that, then I think the unfortunate person who would miss out is going to be Akash Deep, and Washington Sundar should play in this test match. And I will tell you why. Melbourne typically is going to be a ground where the Indian spinners have done reasonably well. And moreover, the first 2 or 3 days are going to be very good for batting, apart from the first 2 hours where the fast bowlers will get some extra bounce and movement. But after that, the batsmen are going to really, if it is going to be a traditional Melbourne wicket, I will come to the wicket later on during this program. But if it is going to be a traditional Melbourne wicket, the batsman will do very well post lunch on the first day itself, and day 2 and day 3 will be very good for batting. And we just looked at the weather report, and it looks like the first day is going to be very, very hot. 40 degrees Celsius is what they're saying. And then afterwards, it's going to cool down. So that being the case, the post-lunch session on the first day onwards is going to be very good for batting. And so I would suggest that India should look at someone like Washington Sundar, who can come and bowl those overs after 30, 35 overs. You need someone to bowl and restrict one end so that the fast bowlers can come and bowl the short spell of 4, 5 overs, and you can just rotate the fast bowlers and on the one end, and then you can keep Washington Sundar on the other end to restrict scoring. And also you can try Jadeja. And the last test match, you didn't restrict the scoring. So that's why I'm saying that we need an option. So in my view, Washington Sundar should play either in place of Nitish Kumar Rana, which is my preference, or if the team decides that Nitish Kumar Rana needs to be there in the 11, I think, instead of Akash Deep. And that is going to be a good team combination for India, in my view. Then let me just go and talk about the wicket. Traditionally, as I said, Melbourne wicket is going to favor the batsman for the most part, apart from the first 2-3 hours on the first day. And then the batsman will really do very well on the post-lunch session on day 1 and then day 2 and day 3. But after that, the wicket will slowly start taking some turn. And that has been the history, that has been the Melbourne traditional wicket. But now I heard from the Australian media as well as from the print media in Australia that they have brought in the curator from Perth for this wicket in Melbourne. So what they are saying is this Melbourne wicket is going to have a little bit more spice than the usual Melbourne wicket. If that is indeed the case, then I think India will look very carefully and see whether they should bring in Washington Sundar or not, and they would possibly go with the same 11. But nevertheless, putting in a fresh, spicy wicket has got is both advantages and disadvantages for Australia. Remember, the Australian batting lineup is weak, as I said, and I don't know how they are going to cope up Bumrah, especially given the fact that Sam Kontas is making his debut. And if Bumrah can just take early breakthroughs and expose Smith and Travis Head within the first 15 overs, Australia might regret putting in a very spicy wicket in Melbourne. So it all depends on the toss, and it all depends on how the wicket looks like on the morning of the match. But I was told that this is going to have a lot more pace and bounce, and it might resemble the Perth wicket, is what they are saying. But remember, India won the Perth Test match, so Australians need to really think about putting in a fresh wicket with a lot of pace and bounce, because Indian bowlers, especially Bumrah, can definitely do very well on those kind of wickets. So that said, this is going to be a very interesting test match, and whoever wins this test match in Melbourne will go with a lot of confidence to Sydney. Sydney is again a place where Indian spinners have done very well, but nevertheless, India cannot afford to lose this test match in Melbourne. The same thing for Australia as well. If Australia loses this test match in Melbourne, then I think they are going to find it very difficult to go with the kind of confidence they need to go and win at Sydney. Because if they lose Melbourne and Sydney, then I think their chances of getting into the WTC final is going to be very, very tough. So both teams, there is a lot of things at stake for both of them. The WTC is on the line, the finals, WTC finals is on the line for both the teams. And the pride of trying to wrest away the trophy for the Australians is way too high, because they really want to get the Border Gavaskar trophy themselves. They want to wrest it away from the Indians. And for the Indians, with all the negativity among the fans and with all those bad press that they're getting in the Indian media, the Indian cricket team has a point to prove. And I have a strong feeling that the Indian batsmen will do better than what they have done in this series, apart from that one innings from Jaiswal and KL Rahul. So then I would like to finish with only one thing. I want to repeat this again and again. The best place for Rohit Sharma is to open the innings. He should just open along with KL Rahul, and they should bring in Jaiswal at number 3, and then push Shubman Gill to number 5, and Pant should play at number 6. By having Rohit Sharma at the top of the order, if he just plays 20-30 balls in the first few overs, I think he has the capacity to take the attack to the oppositions. He can score runs quickly. He can score a lot of boundaries. And also, he can shield Jaiswal, because Jaiswal is playing a lot of loose shots in the new ball, and he has a tendency to do that, and he gets out. By shielding Jaiswal to number 3, if the Indian openers, KL Rahul and Rohit Sharma, can play the first 15-20 overs without losing a wicket, it will be a lot easier for Jaiswal to come and play his natural game, which is to play shots. So I think in all aspects, based on experience, based on what Rohit Sharma has done before, I would say that Rohit Sharma should open with KL Rahul, Jaiswal should come at 3, Kohli 4, Gill at 5, and Pant at 6. And if Washington Sundar plays, he should play at 7 and Jadeja 8. Otherwise, it will be Jadeja and Nitish Kumar. Nitish Kumar Reddy rather. So that's what I think Indian team should do. So let's see what they eventually do in terms of the 11, and what they're going to do in terms of even the toss. If they win the toss, are they going to bat first, or are they going to bowl first? If the wicket is going to have a little bit more juice, I would say India should, if they win the toss, they should bowl first, and they should expose the Australian batting lineup. I'm sure Australia will do the same. If they win the toss, they are more likely to bowl first if the wicket has got more pace and bounce, as the Australian media is claiming that to be. So, so that's it for me today. I will come back to you with another episode tomorrow after the first day's play is over. Till then, take care.